stop what you're doing. For 15 years, Bree, known as Chickanic, turned trash into treasure, fixing machines everyone else gave up on, and building a loyal following of over 600,000 fans. Then, without warning, she vanished. Her shop went dark, her channel went silent, and the internet erupted with rumors, some shocking, some unbelievable. What really happened behind the scenes? Who or what could bring down someone trusted by hundreds of thousands? Today, we uncover the truth. The story of a mechanic, an empire built from grit, and the forces that tried to destroy it. This isn't just about machines, it's about resilience, trust, and the cost of doing something real. The day the lights went out, on October 14, 2023, something happened that sent shockwaves through a community of over 600,000 loyal subscribers. Lakeside Small Engine, a shop built from nothing over 15 years in Hot Springs, Arkansas, officially closed its doors. For Bree, the woman the internet knows as Chickanic, this wasn't just paperwork. This wasn't just locking up one last time and handing over the keys. This was the end of everything she had built with her own two hands. This was watching a dream die. Think about that for a second. 15 years. That's longer than most marriages, longer than most careers, longer than some people stay in the same city. She poured everything into that shop. Blood, sweat, grease, and more hours than she could ever count. The late nights, when a customer needed something fixed before the weekend. The early mornings when the work from yesterday still wasn't done. The weekends that disappeared into the endless cycle of repairs. Every year, that shop took in over 2,000 pieces of equipment. Lawnmowers, trimmers, generators, chainsaws, pressure washers. If it had a small engine and it was broken, people brought it to Lakeside. She answered thousands of questions. She diagnosed problems that stumped other mechanics. She rebuilt carburetors when other shops just wanted to sell you a new machine. She was honest about pricing when the rest of the industry sometimes wasn't. She built something that mattered to real people in her community. And then, one day, the lights went out. But here's the thing. That moment when Bree finally shut down the shop wasn't the beginning of the story. That was the climax. The invisible pressures had been building for years, and the weight of it all had become impossible to carry. To understand what really happened, you have to understand what she was fighting against. When the body breaks down, here's a truth about small engine repair that nobody wants to admit. It destroys your body. This isn't something you see in the videos. This isn't something mechanics talk about when they're young and strong and think they'll be doing this forever. But reality catches up with everyone eventually. Years of lifting heavy equipment, bending over mower decks for hours until your back screams, pulling starter ropes on stubborn engines hundreds of times a day until your shoulder joint grinds, crawling under machines on concrete floors, gripping tools until your hands cramp and your fingers go numb, and you can't make a fist when you wake up in the morning. This is not a desk job. This is physical labor in the most demanding sense. And your body keeps a running tab of every hour you spend hunched over an engine. It remembers every strain, it accumulates every injury, and one day, it presents the bill. Bree was dealing with serious hip problems, the kind that eventually requires surgery, the kind that make you wince when you stand up, that force you to take breaks you never needed before, that make certain jobs physically impossible no matter how much willpower you throw at them. When your body starts failing, everything changes. Jobs take longer because you have to rest between tasks. You start turning away work because you physically cannot do it. The income drops while the expenses stay exactly the same. The building itself was aging too. Commercial spaces need constant maintenance and upgrades. Roofs that leak. HVAC systems that fail. Electrical work that needs updating. Repairs that cost money you might not have, especially when your income is dropping because your body won't cooperate. Running a small independent shop is a constant battle with margins. You charge enough to cover parts and labor and rent and utilities and insurance, and then you hope there's something left over for your own paycheck. But when health problems hit and building problems hit at the same time, that math stops working completely. The busy seasons that used to carry the slow months were no longer enough to keep everything afloat. After 15 years of making it work through sheer determination, the numbers finally refused to add up. Something had to change. The digital doppelganger nightmare. And then came something even more disturbing. Something that represents a threat not just to Bree, but to every content creator on the internet. Deepfake technology has reached a point where anyone can be copied. Your voice, your face, your mannerisms, your way of speaking. All of it can be replicated by artificial intelligence and used without your permission. And once your content is online, it becomes training data. Every video you ever made can be fed into an AI system that learns to imitate you with frightening accuracy. For someone like Bree, who has hundreds of hours of video online, this is a nightmare scenario. Every tutorial she ever recorded, every explanation she ever gave, every time she demonstrated a repair technique or said her catchphrases on camera, all of it can be analyzed and mimicked. Fake videos started appearing. Videos that looked like Bree, that sounded like Bree, that had her mannerisms and her style. But weren't Bree. These AI-generated imposters can spread incorrect or dangerous repair instructions. Imagine someone watching what they think is a legitimate Chickanic tutorial and following advice that damages their equipment or injures them. The person in the video looks real. They trust it because it appears authentic. But the information is completely wrong. In 2024 alone, instances of deepfake fraud surged over 3,000%. The technology is getting better. The tools are getting cheaper. Creating a convincing fake used to require Hollywood-level resources. Now, it can be done with free software and a few samples from social media. For someone whose entire brand is built on trust, this is an existential threat. People watch her videos because they believe she knows what she's talking about. If fake versions spread bad information, that trust evaporates. You report one fake video and 3 more appear. You send takedown notices and the scammers move to a different platform. The fakes multiply faster than they can be removed. Bree spent years helping people fix things safely and correctly. Now there are digital imposters wearing her face and potentially hurting the same people she dedicated her career to helping. The price of 2 lives. But the physical toll and the deepfake nightmare were only part of the story. There was another pressure crushing her from a completely different direction. Running a YouTube channel at that level is a second full-time job. You have to plan content weeks in advance. You have to film, which means setting up equipment, getting the lighting right, doing multiple takes when something goes wrong. You have to edit, which means hours of cutting and splicing and adding graphics. You have to respond to comments because the algorithm rewards engagement. You have to keep posting consistently because the algorithm punishes breaks. And the algorithm is hungry. It always wants more. Outside of her full-time shop job, she was scripting, filming, editing, and publishing content on a schedule that would exhaust most people. Think about what that means on a daily basis. She was a technician, diagnosing and repairing equipment with her hands. She was a business owner, managing inventory and payroll and customer service. She was a content creator, producing professional quality videos on a relentless schedule. She was a public figure, interacting with fans and answering emails from viewers asking for help with their specific machines. Most people struggle with one of those roles. She was doing all four at once. The shop faced constant real-world pressures, parts delays that backed up jobs for weeks, supply chains that never fully recovered from the pandemic, seasonal swings that made cash flow unpredictable, springs where the phone rang off the hook because everyone suddenly remembered their lawnmower had been sitting in the garage all winter, summers jammed with chainsaw repairs, falls overwhelmed with leaf blowers, and then winters where she caught her breath just long enough to realize she was exhausted before the cycle started all over again. 2 full-time jobs pulling in opposite directions, a body that was breaking down, a building that needed repairs she couldn't afford, digital imposters stealing her identity. Something was going to break. It was only a question of when. Who is the woman behind Chickanic? To understand why this story matters, you need to know who Bree actually is and where she came from. Before there was Chickanic, the YouTube phenomenon, before there was Lakeside Small Engine, before any of the success or the struggles, there was just a young woman in Arkansas who loved engines. Not in an abstract way, not as a hobby she picked up on weekends. She loved understanding how things worked, why they failed, and how to bring them back from the dead. While other kids were doing whatever kids do, she was fascinated by machines. She spent 2 years in college learning small engine repair, sitting in classrooms and workshops, absorbing knowledge that most people never think about. Most people look at a lawnmower and see a machine that either works or doesn't. Bree learned to see deeper. She learned why engines fail, how fuel systems degrade over time, what makes a carburetor flood, or a spark plug foul, or a governor stick. She learned to diagnose problems by sound, by smell, by the subtle vibrations that tell an expert mechanic exactly what's wrong before they even open the hood. She wasn't just learning a trade, she was mastering a craft. After school, she went straight into the trenches. She worked at a small engine shop and learned the business side of things, the part they don't teach you in technical programs. How to deal with frustrated customers who don't understand why their repair costs more than they expected. How to explain complex problems in simple terms without making people feel stupid. How to diagnose efficiently so you're not spending 3 hours on a job that should take 1. How to price work fairly while still keeping the lights on and the rent paid and food on the table. She learned that being a great mechanic isn't enough. You have to be a communicator, a problem solver, and a business person all at once. Then she and her husband made the leap that terrifies most people. They risked everything and opened their own shop. Lakeside Small Engine in Hot Springs, Arkansas. No safety net. No guaranteed paycheck. Just their skills and their willingness to work harder than anyone else. Their specialty was everything. Briggs & Stratton, Kohler, Honda, Steel, Echo, Husqvarna, Craftsman, Troy-Bilt, Hewlin, Red Max. If it had a small engine and it needed fixing, they handled it. Building trust in this industry is brutally hard. Customers walk through the door already defensive because they've been burned before. Overcharged by shops that saw an easy mark. Told they needed expensive repairs that weren't necessary. Treated like idiots because they didn't know technical terminology. Bree was different. She explained things. She showed customers exactly what was wrong with their equipment. She gave honest quotes and stuck to them even when the job turned out harder than expected. She earned loyalty the way it's supposed to be earned, through competence and integrity, repeated thousands of times until her reputation became unshakable. The birth of an internet legend. At some point in 2017, Bree made a decision that would change everything. She started a YouTube channel called Chickanic. The name was genius. A female mechanic, a chick who fixes things. It was memorable, it was clever, and it perfectly captured what made her different in an industry dominated by men. The idea was simple but powerful. Take all that knowledge from the shop and share it with people who couldn't afford professional help or lived too far from a competent mechanic. Her style was what made her stand out. No flashy editing, no clickbait gimmicks, no 15-minute intros before getting to the actual content. She gets straight to the repair and shows you exactly what to do. Her tagline said it all: save time, money, and frustration. Every video delivered on that promise. Watch for 10 minutes, learn something useful, go fix your equipment. That formula resonated with millions of people who were tired of being talked down to or charged prices they couldn't afford. The channel grew steadily for years. Then the pandemic hit, and everything exploded. Supply chains collapsed. Professional repair services became limited or impossible to access. People were stuck at home staring at broken equipment they couldn't get fixed because shops were closed or backed up for months. Suddenly, those Chickanic videos weren't just helpful, they were essential. The subscriber count skyrocketed. The view counts multiplied exponentially. Today, that channel has over 610,000 subscribers and more than 100 million total views. 100 million views. That's the population of a medium-sized country, all watching one woman from Arkansas teach them how to fix engines. But what Bree was doing, whether she realized it or not, connected to something much bigger than YouTube views or subscriber counts. She had become a soldier in one of the most important consumer rights battles of our time. The right to repair movement is built on a simple concept. If you own something, you should be able to fix it. You should have access to the parts, the tools, and the information needed to make repairs. Sounds obvious, right? It's your property. You paid for it? Why shouldn't you be allowed to open it up and fix it yourself? But for decades, major corporations have fought against this principle with everything they have. They've restricted access to repair manuals. They've designed products that are impossible to fix without proprietary tools that only authorized dealers can buy. They've voided warranties for anyone who dares to open their own equipment. They've lobbied against legislation that would give consumers the right to repair things they already own. The Right to Repair Coalition has been fighting for over 15 years against corporations, representing more than $10 trillion in market capitalization. Regular people going up against some of the biggest companies in the world. The good news is that things are finally changing. In 2023 and 2024, several states enacted comprehensive right to repair laws. California, Colorado, Minnesota, New York, Oregon. These states now require manufacturers to provide repair materials to consumers and independent shops. Canada became the first country to pass a national right to repair law. The European Union adopted its own directive, requiring manufacturers to offer affordable repair services. The tide is turning. Independent mechanics like Bree are on the front lines of this battle. Every video she makes teaching someone to repair their own equipment is an act of resistance against a system designed to keep consumers dependent and paying. Every time she shows that ordinary people can fix things themselves,